chillin' with the top down, screaming like, hey, oh. I'ma take her ass down. She bring her friend around, fuck 'em both like, hey, oh. I'm a bougie ass nigga, let the roof rockin' like, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. But don't be acting like I need you. This my new shit. I'm the black bitch with the roof missing. If it don't make dollars, don't make sense. Wake up.
All right, you want to know the secret to getting a Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Welcome to SPN Live. I am back in the building with Breeze DBL. You can see him, and we have a special guest on the line that we are. And our technology is better than your technology, so this is how we roll. We're a little late. Caller, are you on the line? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. So I've got Eric Dawson on the line today. He wants to talk some sports. He hosts a show. How would I describe your show?
Uh, my show is it's that engages the consciousness of our listeners on issues dealing with culture in our local community as well as the broader community, which is America. And I mean, the name of the show is Real Talk Radio. And when we talk, me and my co-host Osman Shabazz, I mean, it's real talk. It's raw. It's respectful. Um, and our callers have respected us, and and we don't use profanity. But it's a great show.
Right. So I've listened to your show. I asked you to be on the show today to give some diversity to what we talk sports, and we did have in full disclosure Sundays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We did have a conversation about what we were going to talk about today, and you had some sports topics that you wanted to talk about, but
Yeah, man.
it also transcends regular society. So I think this conversation will be great for our listeners today. So you gave me three topics. I'm gonna start off with the to be most interesting, and I'd love to hear this. You told me you wanted to hear your take on this.
So he came out in the beginning, and Oz and I were at odds a little bit, and immediately called Bill a rapist and and a criminal. And I sought to hold judgment on it, in spite of all of the women who were coming out testifying against him. And I think that speaks to our culture, right? Where we want to hope for the best, even when it looks hopeless when it comes to in our community, because there's so very few that we cherish them. But I was devastated when Mr. Cosby came out himself and said, "Yeah, I drugged him." And so I think that even in my thread, when I look at folks who are still in denial, including his wife, who says, "Well, Bill's not bad. He's not a monster. I wanted this." Look at that, and I scratched my head and I said, well, if we're about raising the bar, upping the ante in our community, how do we do it unless we're willing to call it like we see it?
Fair enough. I think that I probably I gotta tread some. I gotta tread lightly. Steve's here. I gotta tread lightly. So I don't accuse anybody of anything until, or I'm not convinced.
Said it.
Right. So now he said what he said,
Right.
and I think it's a terrible thing.
It is one of my worst nightmares. I mean, in fact, I have two daughters who are of drinking age, and I told both of them, I said, listen, I gave them the speech about, don't accept strangers. If you leave that drink and drink, the whole bit. I've given it to them because I have that fear. And so to know that a guy who stood as an icon, and who preached, who went. So this is the hypocrisy of what I will call him a savage, who prayed innocent women. Here's a guy who goes into the community and talks about God. Now, granted, knowledge at the point that he was giving those wasn't drugging and raping women, but he knew that was and because he did not admit that, a big part of who he still is. He needs.
All right. Let me cut you off. Video has disappeared to me because they want to see you. I don't know what's going on
wait a
your
minute,
side.
wait a minute. Let me.
Just want to.
Are we up? My thing is when you look at it and you say, well, here's a guy who put himself up as an icon in our community, and he himself created such dastardly acts upon these innocent women. No sympathy for him at all, at all,
Uh,
at all.
All right, so let me go a little past that, right? And again, we're talking social issues. We're trying to get outside our box. So
Right.
this is a little different for me, and I'm gonna try to keep up.
Okay.
Do you have a what kind of now? And let me be very clear. I'm not trying to blame any victim for anything, but when we hear some of the stories about some of these up and coming actresses trying to for a lack of put on, does Camille have a point? Like I hear about these acts that happen 4 o'clock in the morning. Ryan, I'm thinking about his rape allegation situation in Utah, or wherever he was. When you go to somebody's room at 4 in the morning, is some of that on you or no? I'm just asking.
No.
I'm not accusing that. So
Oh no. Oh no. That because then we start talking about, well, if the girl wore a skirt that was, if a girl a
it's that.
blouse that was too tight. Now listen, a true story, right? I won't give how old I was. We'll give a true story. You know what? I just saw that the video. I don't know. I'm using. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But so here's the true story. I was a young guy, and up until that moment, my girlfriend and I had practiced abstinence in our relationship. She told me, she said, "Home, come on over." So I literally, oh gosh, it had to be some 20. You can imagine as a young teenager, ready to go. My hormones were on edge, and she looked at me, and we out right. I'm putting up my quote finger, and said, I don't want to do. And I kissed her on the cheek. I turned around the apartment.
No, and again, I'm fine with that. But
Mhm.
again, if I had, but if right, so if I said,
I'm back on again. Go ahead.
I would advise my niece, or if I had a daughter, my daughter, don't go in somebody's room at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
And so
Nope.
for me, why I'm really asking the question is: there some kind of, don't trust that this guy is going to be the genuine, and he's going to be who you were, who was the guy who kissed the girl on the cheek and walked away. Don't
Right.
put yourself in that situation. I would advise somebody that if
Right.
you want to have some drinks with them when we in Miami, drink. I've done it. So
But if she does put herself in that situation, what happens?
no,
So
I'm not making an excuse for him. I think I think he lives.
so my thing is, so Cosby in particular, here is a guy who inside. They went to his room, but they had their full wits about them, right? In order for him to do what he complied, issue, right? But if you are impaired, you can't be held responsible for the things. And what were they, Quaaludes? They weren't. And so I just think, again, I think that it was dastardly for him to do it. I think that for him to, and I got to tell you, man, if I Raven Simone's dad or parents, and I got to tell you, man, I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at these reruns, and she's sitting on his lap, and and then the other young ladies who were in the thing, all creepy to me. There's no trust there now. The wall of trust has been torn down, and to me, the thing that he has done is suspect now.
Well,
Everything.
okay. I think we agree that Bill's a bad guy. I also think that I think that
Well, no. See, because we're gonna talk about DeAndre. I think DeAndre is a bad guy. DeAndre Johnson, he's a bad guy.
Jordan,
Bill is a
DeAndre
monster.
Jordan.
Johnson, isn't that the guy's name from FSU?
Oh yes.
Right. So we'll talk about him, right? I hope. But he's a bad guy.
Oh, this is your show. We're gonna talk about whatever. So right now, 3 minutes. So hang tight, and then FSU. We'll have a parting word for Bill Cosby. To SPN Live 660. We are back off of vacation. The boss at Momara 660 told me stay out another week. I'm here today. And he got Breeze DBL up here. I don't know how that happened. So hopefully you guys enjoy the ride. We got Eric Dawson, Real Talk Radio.
I don't care who's first or who last. Time, baby. This is a Joe Rock.
7:23 Eastern Standard Time. Sorry, boss Mo. I didn't say 23 after the hour. Please don't fire me. Don't want any trouble here. Onto my little position up here at All Access 660. We're on the line today with Eric Dawson from Real Talk Radio. You guys can catch him every Wednesday and they tell him your link so people know how.
Yeah, so the Wednesday show is Real Talk. You
Wednesday?
can find us
The Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. Just checking.
I got technical difficulty replacement.
Okay.
But Wednesday 7 to 8 blogtalkradio.com/Eric with a C and Osman. And then on Thursday we do another show, which is a show talking about all the issues facing our young children in schools around the country, in particular in New Jersey.
Cool. So you guys out there, absolutely check them out. It's a very show. I do listen as much as I can, and
But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the support and the shout out.
It's very. I so
Yeah,
if
man.
you guys
I'm looking
don't.
well, listen, man. You and I offline, we have, I think, are some really interesting conversations, and sometimes they almost become knockdown and drag out. They're always respectful, and I think that you calling in would give folks an opportunity to enjoy the treat that I enjoy when I'm debating with you. So I'm looking forward.
The treat that you enjoy when you're debating with me. You are a pros pro. I feel you. All right, let's talk about Florida State, and then this will kind of bring the two worlds together. So I'm a sports guy. You're a political guy.
Right.
Can I say that?
Yeah, but I do. I like Boston Celtics, and you know that. I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, so maybe I'm not a sports guy.
All right. But we're talking some young people, and that's something
Oh.
that you talk now, and it's something that we talk about on all our shows and all the platforms on All Access 660. Again, Sundays in full disclosure from 10 to 12, followed by Fully Disclosed with Breeze DBL, who's might be making a new mix over there right now. I see his head bobbing up and down. If you guys can see him, so we're going to talk about the FSU issues. There were two incidents at Florida State University where there were football players who hit women.
Hmm.
This was another topic that you wanted to talk about. So
Correct.
I'd like to hear your take on this, and I have no defense for these guys. Let's just put that out there.
Well, and neither does he. And I'm talking about DeAndre. He was on. He was on Good Morning America this morning and was being interviewed by Mike Strahan. And Mike flat out asked him. He said, what do you think? He said, I was wrong. He said there was no excuse for it. I should have walked away. There was nothing else for him to say other than that. And so I applaud him for that. And then Michael Strahan tried to bait him and said, well, but, I heard that she used the N-word. He said, that doesn't matter. I should have walked away. So I appreciate the fact that he took responsibility for his actions. His mother was on the interview with him, and she expressed her absolute disappointment. She said she didn't raise him like that. But I got to tell you, I'm a PR guy, right? So I understand PR too. But I understand mistakes. But the way he grabbed her and the way he hit her, it didn't look like it was the first time he had done that. It just didn't. I mean, it just didn't. Everything rang that this is something, and I wouldn't be surprised if more women, young ladies, come forward now that he has gone on the record and saying that he's never done that before. Because Michael Strahan asked him, he said, "Have you ever put your hands on a woman before?" And he said no. And I hope that he's telling the truth, because if he's not, and these women now come out, his reputation is ruined.
I there's no argument. I don't even know where to go with, because obviously he was
Well,
wrong.
but
and
it's culture, right? So our show, Real Talk Radio, we talk about culture. So it's the culture.
I like the plug. I like the plug. I like that. Right.
It's the culture on the football field, right? So you take a guy like and see, I can't remember his name, the guy who beat his wife. Oh, Ray Rice, his wife, and now Ray Rice is playing football again. Playing football.
Yep.
But he's going to get picked up, right? Because it's all about money. So he'll be picked up, and it'll send a bad message, right? So on this side,
So wait. So, and let me just touch on. If the guy made a mistake, he did something wrong. He made a mistake. You don't think he should be able to work again?
well, but
That message if he gets a job again?
well, so here's the deal. No. But he's a. So you have the NFL, which first of all is a billion. I mean, nonprofit, right? They're not a for-profit. They're a nonprofit, and they talk about ethics. They talk about they preach all of these things, but at the end of the day, we see the decisions that they make are all dollar driven, and that's the issue.
Yeah,
so
but
if they came out and said, you know what?
But
We don't care.
let me just ask you a question. If this guy,
Yep.
if Ray Rice worked at McDonald's, he hit his wife, and then he goes through the court of law. He goes where the system is,
Mhm.
and he's adjudicated or whatever happened. Right? He went through. They dismissed the case because he went to some kind of therapy or something. You wouldn't
Right.
want him to work back at McDonald's again? I mean, like, as you said, you just said
But I'm
it
gonna
would
answer
be
your
bad
question.
if he's gonna go get another job in the NFL. He's one of the 450 or 1,500 people, however many people in the NFL, 50 people per team, 1,500, right? So he's one of the 1,500 best people to do what he does, and you don't think he should have that job? Are you just upset because the amount of money they make? Because I can't imagine that you would want him to go back and get a job, because you don't want him just around aimlessly. But
Well, no.
you
I
look,
know.
you look.
I think that he should go and try to find a job that he can find, and I think that he. So
Well,
let's use the McDonald's example.
what would be the problem with him going back to the NFL?
Well, let's use the McDonald's example for a second, right? If I owned McDonald's and raped or beat a woman and knocked her what he did and dragged her out of an elevator. And as the owner of McDonald's, I saw that, but I don't want him working at McDonald's anymore. I think it sends a bad message to have him here at McDonald's. Now he can go to Wendy's. He can go to Checkers. He can go anywhere else to get it. He can't come to McDonald's. So Ray Rice, if I were the commissioner of the NFL, I would look and say, no, you can't come to brand. It's like Bill Cosby will probably never be on television again. He'll never be in a movie again. The industry said, we don't tolerate that. And so my question, then this is the only question, it's about hypocrisy. So if the NFL, you know what? Hey, listen, we preach morals and values.
Saying if you own the McDonald's, you wouldn't let Ray Rice come back and work for you. Okay.
No, I would not.
So you got a zero time. Where's your line of what somebody could do? Somebody got a speeding ticket, you gonna let them come back and work? Somebody does, like, where are you? And could somebody make a mistake, have bad judgment?
I'll answer that question.
And you're not gonna take
if you look at the culture of the NFL, you look at the number of spousal abuse reports, right? You look at the guys who are tight wired and they're committing suicide and other kinds of issues. There are issues there. They're real, and we can't sweep those issues under. So this isn't an isolated incident with Ray Rice. This is pathological within the NFL, and you know what's going to happen, because they're going to be looking at the dollar too, right? Because Ray Rice's wife is, she gets from the various lifestyle he lives, so unfortunately she lower her bar too, right? And a lot of people have to lower their bar, have to take it literally on the chin, because they say, well, if I report this, then this is going to happen, but I'm out. I don't have anything. Yeah. And so they say, well, do I cut off my nose in spite of my face, or do I and then take the abuse? That's a horrible situation for them to be in. It's horrible. What I would do if I were the NFL is I would look and say, you know what? There has to be some restitution paid to this woman from the contract that you signed, so that she's not afraid of losing her livelihood by coming and reporting a violent crime. That's what I would consider.
Yeah, that's fine, but I'm amazed at the zero tolerance mentality that you have. I think a lot of people do a lot of bad things, but some people really realize that they made mistakes, and I'm not trying to take away their livelihood because they made a mistake. So I always think when people, first off, let's be honest, we're looking at NFL, and we're talking about all these NFL. Right. You might have heard 10 guys. Like I said, it's 1,500 people in the league. They're talking about 5 or 10 guys. So let's not act like the entire NFL is. And obviously, we don't know. Everybody's not reporting everything. But right. I think that these athletic are really bad rap, because we talked about Ray Rice. We talked about Ray McDonald. The kid who's playing for Dallas now. We talked about 4 or 5 guys this year out of 1,500 people in the league. So you're quick to classify and say, well, guys, it's past this, that, and a third. I'm not sure that it's more than, let's say people aren't reporting it. If it was 150 people, 10% of the league, it's not the entire league, but the media has you thinking, and I can't speak for you, but you're here, so you can speak for yourself.
No, you're right. The media does, because
so now you're saying the NFL, these guys in the NFL, it's a couple of guys we're not literally talking about different NFL players every single day, or NBA players, or baseball players, or whatever. We're not doing that. It's 4 or 5 people we're talking about, and so you've already just generalized and lumped everybody into one group. Now, like, the entire NFL is pathological.
I'm lumping them in a group, and I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't personally do the research, but what I did do is I saw there was an episode that I saw in a 60 Minutes clip, and then there was another episode of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel, where they talked about.
I thought it was Real Talk Radio that you.
Nah, dude.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right.
But Real Sports and with Brian Gumbel, where they were talking about it, and this was prior to the Ray Rice incident. And they were talking about head injuries, and how intense these guys were, and whether they could leave it on the field and come home. And they were saying that there are a disturbing the word I remember him using was disturbing. He said there's a disturbing number of incidents fell courts that are filed, and then sometimes the women drop the charges, and sometimes with it. But you know, look, I'll do the research. I'd love to come back on the show and I see if I can have some concrete numbers in terms of what the percentages are.
But again, it's not even it's not that deep.
But
I mean,
I'm ready to say that one woman. But I'm almost ready to say, look, because I look through the lens of a dad again, and if it were if that woman, Ray Rice's wife, was my daughter, and I'm watching TMZ and her being dragged out of, and so here's the tragic thing about that. Um, and I'm very opinionated. Ray Rice apologized because he saw it and because he was embarrassed and it was all over the news. And again, a PR thing is this is what you do. I think that if there were no cameras, just like with DeAndre, if there were no cameras, he'd be vehemently denying that it happened, and then we'd be talking a whole nother thing. So he had to figure it out, and he got himself an Olivia Pope to try to spin a story, and got his wife dressed up to come on the news. And what Hillary Clinton did with Bill Clinton, do a mea culpa. You fall on the sword and take it for your husband. And horrible. And then out of the other side of society, we say that women for their rights and they should be strong and all these things. Some lawyer and there's some media mogul PR person saying, but you got to take this one for him because you understand how horrible this can be. I mean, the hypocrisy of it is serious, and this is not
all that. But I'm saying all that's fine. I'm just tripping on the fact that he'd be okay. Ray Rice, it'd be all right if Ray Rice went and got a job as a substitute teacher.
He ruined his career, but we have to understand.
No. And I don't. First off, I don't think he's gonna play in the NFL again because he's an old running back. So
that'd be great. I'd be happy.
I don't think he's gonna play, but I don't think that you're gonna. If somebody makes a mistake, and if I'm gonna assume that he made a mistake, and I'm gonna assume that he's sorry for what he did, then I'm not gonna try to take away. I'm not going to try to take away some job opportunity for him because you're like, well, he shouldn't be able to play in NFL. So he'd be okay working at McDonald's, but you don't think he should be able to play in the NFL.
Well, so, all right. So this is what happens, right? If you have let's say, here's a great example, Russell. There was a chemist in New Jersey,
I
right?
got my government error today too. Okay. Yeah, what's up?
I'm sorry, brother.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
But he was a chemist. He still is with a pharmaceutical company. He got caught selling. He was manufacturing drugs, illegal drugs, out of his home, and he was a drug dealer. He got caught. And guess what? When he gets out of jail, do you think he'll ever work as a chemist at a pharmaceutical company ever again?
Maybe not. But what
he won't.
But what I also see
and do you think that's
what also well, first off, this is what I see in the real world. This is what I see. I hear Robert Downey Jr. story.
Right.
Drug use and all this other stuff. They're not gonna stop him from acting again. Chris Brown is beating up his Rihanna and he's still making records. So you think that he beat Rihanna up so he shouldn't be able to make another record?
I think that so the music industry is a little different, right?
Well, I mean, and again, wait. First off, time out. I think that you're putting a little too much stock in athletes. And if you ever listen to In Full Disclosure on Sundays from 10 to 12, you hear in the drop that Breeze DBL made when I said lower your expectations. Those dudes are entertainers to me. So I'm not looking at it like, oh my God, just real life stuff is happening in Hollywood. People are doing all kind of stuff. It doesn't stop them from continuing to do what they do. They're the 2,000 or 200 most talented people, and I can go look at Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man and enjoy it. I feel bad for what he did, but I'm just going to look at him and just say It's entertainment only. So I would never say, well, wow, he did something. He shouldn't be able to act again. So now he did that. He's one of the best actors in the world. You want to say he shouldn't be able to act again because he used some drugs. I would never do
Well,
that.
look. For me, and I think that everybody has to do their own thing. If the bottom line is money for all these industries, and if um, and individuals have to come to this, and they will bring much like the Latin community rallied, and they're hitting Donald Trump where it hurts, and that's in his pocket, right? So, at the end of the day, we live in America, and we, as groups of people who have particular feelings about particular behaviors, or we have the right to assemble, organize, and mobilize, and then express our anger or disappointment by attacking the folks where it hurts, which is the money. So, if there are enough people like me who have an issue with Ray comes back in the league,
But
buy
here's
his jersey,
right,
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 the
okay.
games,
But
then that'll make the difference at the end of the day.
here's the thing. You own McDonald's, and so if Ray Rice worked for you, then you wouldn't let him work at McDonald's again. And so if everybody had the that, he wouldn't work anymore.
Well, but so we'll go here. When I think it was Chick, I don't know the name of it. It's a fast food restaurant. They sell that.
But if everybody had your mentality, he
Mhm.
wouldn't work anymore.
Then he wouldn't work anymore. That's
And that you'd be cool with that?
listen. I would be cool with people exercising the idea of raising the bar and holding people to an extremely high standard. That's the only way I believe we're going to culturally. As long as we continue to make excuses and we say, well, he only hit her once. Well, what? Okay, so if he hits her again, should he be back 4 times? Maybe a baker's dozen.
But
What's the limit?
Yeah, but
So you tell me, what's the limit?
all right.
How many?
The question isn't you know what the limit is. The question is what you don't want him to be able to have that job because it's a great job. Because I would guess, and I'll say this. I'm saying it on the air. I would guess that some criminals, the people who are, let's call them a criminal, people who are criminals, you want them to go back and work somewhere, but in the same token, you're like, well, if somebody does something, I wouldn't let them work for me. What happens when these guys get out of prison? They
Well,
gotta go. They gotta open up their own company to make a living.
right. But we're gonna go back to the same point, right? A lawyer does something illegal. He or she can be disbarred and never work as a lawyer again. It doesn't mean that they can't go get another job. The same thing with a physician.
But the point the point that I'm making is football entertainment, and you're trying to compare entertainment
No,
to the law.
but what I'm saying is this: and this is all. So my point again, NFL. So my point is with the NFL, much like the legal standards, and they say, here are our standards. If you violate these, here are the penalties. In the medical profession, they say, here's the oath you take. If you violate this, here are the penalties. My question, and I guess I have to ask the question, says, you know what? We are a standard bearer. We are the beacon of morality. But I mean, that we penalize guys for on the field, right, for taunting each other, right? We penalize guys for celebrating too much a touchdown, right? So we take it that seriously, and we say, you know what, we don't want unsportsmanship, right? That's the level that they're willing to say we don't tolerate that. But you know what? Guy punches his wife, knocks her out, drags her out of the elevator. You know what? That's okay.
No,
but
it's
you know
not.
what?
But
you
I don't.
better not celebrate too much when you score that touchdown. I got
and
problems.
that's fine with that. But you also got to remember, right? So if a guy, and I don't know what Ray Rice's salary was his last year, but if he didn't play for a year, Joe Schmo on the street punches some lady, He gets whatever PTI. That's what pretrial intervention. That's what Ray Rice got. He gets the same thing. Uh, I don't know what the fine would be. Ray Rice may have lost 3 million.
Oh no,
five
well,
million.
well, whatever the
And
law
so,
is, right? So
what,
I think that
but
the
wait,
law,
no,
what
no,
he's
but
punished.
even no,
Yeah.
what I'm trying to tell you is the suspension that he got from the NFL. When you're talking about the NFL being this beacon of morality, you may be right on that, but let's not forget that this dude gets suspended, doesn't think he's ever gonna get a job again. Like I said, because he's an old running back, so he wasn't his last year he played. He wasn't that good. So now he's been out a year, and he's got this on top of him. I don't think he's ever gonna get a job again. But if you really want to just say, you guys do, and I'm not trying to minimize domestic violence, so I'll take it to another level. Somebody does some crime, and then we don't want them to be able to
No,
profession.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying again, if a lawyer breaks whatever that standard is, he or she can't practice law again. Doesn't mean that they can't become an engineer. Doesn't mean that they can't become a nuclear physicist.
Right, but
they just cannot be a lawyer anymore.
You own McDonald's. He can't drop fries anymore. That's what you telling me. He can't drop fries anymore.
Not for me. He
Okay.
can go work for somebody else. Violated my trust. So here's the question I want to ask.
Well, wait. Hold the question. We got to take
Sure.
a break. In 3 minutes. You got me sweating in here too, and I never sweat. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Let me get my mo on right now. 49 after the hour. This is SPN Live. We're on the line with Eric Dawson from Real Talk Radio. You can catch him Wednesdays and Thursdays. Chop up local and national political stuff and cultural stuff, right? Because that's what we're talking now, right?
Yeah.
Some cultural stuff. Yeah, so you can catch him every Wednesday and Thursday, and they definitely get the job done. All right, I cut you off because we had to take a break. So
No worries.
if
So
you remember,
here's
you can
Here's
continue.
my one
your-
question, and I know we create a zero tolerance policy for battering women, and they now understand wholeheartedly that if they do it, they will be done. Then I think that you drastically will lower the use in the NFL. And if at the end of the day, so here's the question I want to ask you. This is my question. Is it for women not to be abused or for these guys to be employed as football players?
Women not to be abused.
Right. And so that's all I'm saying. So whatever you can do.
But
so if you understand,
I'm just, and I don't know if you're getting my point or what I'm trying to say. Is it the fact that they work in an industry where they can make a ton of money?
no, that has nothing to do with it. Nothing.
So you
If
want
they-
to? All right. So so I'll take it out the NFL. If he works at McDonald's, your world. You're in charge of the entire world.
I'm in
Your-
charge of McDonald's.
And you no the entire world.
Okay.
I'm making a scenario.
Wow.
You in charge of
Wow.
the entire world. This guy doesn't work at any McDonald's again. What job could he go get? Because like I said, if every employer has your attitude, this dude doesn't work again. That's what you want. I'm okay with that. I'm just trying to be clear. Like, is that what you? I don't agree with it, but is that what you want? You don't want him to work again?
No. So let me pick a standard in McDonald's. So let's say my standard in McDonald's is that you don't spit in a customer's French fries. That's my standard, right? And I happen to look over, and I'm
nasty.
looking at surveillance cameras, and I see that the employee X spat in a customer's French fries.
Nasty, though.
Right, it is.
Okay.
Right, but to me, it is on par with what Ray Rice did. That's the best I could do. So now he spat in the fries. I'm gonna look and I'm gonna say, you know what? If I own all of the McDonald's, dude, you're never working in again. Forget about it. You're never working in a McDonald's again. Now,
dude, it's apples and oranges, though. Right.
why?
So, well, I mean, he didn't do something. It's something with his job description that he didn't make the example something that he did outside of his job description. So you can't say he spat in the fries. He work at McDonald's.
no,
You can't work
because
at
I don't think
McDonald's
it's a
again. I
matter-
get that. That
But I
makes
don't think it's
sense.
a matter
I wouldn't
of
let
job
him. Well, I wouldn't let the guy who spits in French fry. If I had a chef who was serving people undercooked chicken, maybe I'd say he can't restaurant anymore. But that's a direct result of what he does with his job description. Yeah, I'm with you, but what if he, like I said, what if he?
Well, let me ask you a question, right? Law enforcement. There are some things that a law enforcement official can do that don't it doesn't pertain to his or her job description. But if they do those things, they could lose their job.
I'm
right?
okay, but
they
I
never
just
work in law enforcement again.
all
and they
I'm
lose
saying,
their pension, and they lose all these things.
but all I'm saying to you is,
And then the guy says, "I'm sorry."
all I'm saying to you is, are you gonna have this guy? What job do you think that Ray Rice should be able to go get? But the NFL, what's it got to do with his job? That's the point that I'm trying to get. Like, what he did was wrong.
Right.
You want to take his NFL job away, but he can go work at McDonald's. Why can't he go work in the NFL again? That's what I'm trying to get to.
So here's my I want you to look at this juxtaposition. Ray Rice scores a touchdown, right? And he jumps up after scoring a last-minute touchdown. He's high-fiving. He's celebrating too much. The ref throws a flag and says it was unsportsmanlike conduct. Referred to it as, right? Unsportsmanlike. So he's penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct. But then, let's say I have my split screen, and Ray Rice is dragging his wife out of the elevator after knocking her out. I said, well, wait a minute. Okay, so won't let him celebrate and jump up and down. They'll penalize him for that, right? But the guy, he did this thing, and what's that worth? You're right.
Well,
so I'm not
disputed. He got penalized. He's getting basically. You shouldn't be able to have the privilege to play football anymore. Now you can go get any other job. I don't get that, because like, if you don't want him to work anywhere, why would the standard at McDonald's be the different? They want to allow him to be able to work somewhere. He just NFL.
Right,
Why is that?
Because
he making too much money?
Because again, the NFL, and I mean, maybe it's just my perception. The NFL puts itself up as a standard bearer for morality.
I'm listening to what you. I'm listening to what you. I'm
The
listening to what you
NFL
say, and there's some. You talk about jumping up and unsportsmanlike conduct.
Right.
Fine. He got penalized. You think the penalty should be banned? He should just be banned. That's the penalty you want.
Well,
He's
so here's the
getting
question I have to
penalized
ask you.
now. Guys, the other guys, they all ended. They're getting whatever. They're losing millions of dollars. They're getting penalized. You're acting like they're not getting penalized.
No. I'm not suggesting that they're not being penalized. My question is, what? How much was Ray Rice fined?
He lost a couple million.
A couple million. What's he worth?
Who knows? I don't.
Right. So you got to. So
You didn't put Ray Rice on there.
but
Do my
no, that's
research.
okay. But I mean, what I'm getting at is this: was
Cost me more money. You. So like you want to make the fine based on what he's worth, or is the fine the fine? You want so now should I pay should I $200 to go on the same cab ride you go on? Why would I about? Cause I make more money, you want to take more money from me? The fine's the fine. Whatever it is, it is. Don't be mad at me because I got $1 million and you got 100,000. What do you want to do?
It becomes when you say how punitive is it, right? And the idea, understanding is that the idea of fines and things are that they act as deterrents, right? All of the punishments are to act as deterrents. And so the question at the end of the day, for me, is whether or not these things are deterrents. So if you got a guy worth $50 million and you take $2 million from him, is that a deterrent? I don't know the answer to
But
it.
if you got
if you got a guy who's worth $5 million,
if you jaywalk and Donald Trump jaywalks, you think they should charge Donald Trump more because he jaywalked?
No. That's different. So the law treats everybody the same. The law.
Okay.
But the NFL can fine you what they choose to. They can set the rules differently. But they can set the rules differently from a municipal, state, or federal agency.
I got a guy at the NFL who makes $500,000 a year, and then I got paid $8 million a year. Same thing. You want to fine? You find a guy who makes $500,000 a year for doing the same thing?
Within the NFL?
Yeah, in the NFL. Yeah.
You
fine him because you make more money? I'm going to fine you more for the same thing that somebody else. That's ridiculous.
I'm going to tell you why. Well, it may be ridiculous, but I'm going to give you my rationale. It may be ridiculous, but it's my rationale. One is a Peyton Manning. If he's making, however much you just said, $20-30 million a year, Peyton Manning is more of an icon of the NFL. There's more at of what he does in the NFL. He now is a co-brand of the NFL. The guy who's making $500,000 a year, nobody knows his name. Peyton Manning, everybody knows Peyton Manning's name. That Peyton Manning does reflect more on the NFL than the thing that other guy does. So yeah, I'm going to hold him to a higher standard.
Okay.
And if I'm going to find that, let's say I find that guy $200,000. Peyton Manning does the same thing, right? The damage that Peyton Manning can do to the NFL as a result of what he just did is way more than this guy who is making $500,000 can do. And for me to only find Peyton Manning $1,000, that's say find me again. So what's the deterrent? And I'm saying that the deterrent, that it should be equal to a couple things, right? It should be equal to the prominence you have in the NFL, the salary you have, the damages we think you've caused the NFL. That's what it should be equal to.
Wow. I totally, I really in shows totally disagreeing with somebody. I totally disagree with that. Like, dude, if it's gonna get the same time. Like, I'm really gonna get fined more money. I did the same thing that somebody else did, and you're gonna take more of my money because I have more. Oh, what is that about? They're benchmarks, right? So you got a speeding ticket, and I'm just using that. 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, the ticket is X amount of dollars.
So that's the difference in our law, in our legal system, right?
Let's say okay, whatever it is. Like, so, Joe Schmo basketball spits in the crowd and gets $25,000 fine. Kobe Bryant spits in the crowd, you'd be like $2.5 million because you're making $2
That's right.
They both spit in the crowd.
That's
so
right.
Me and him both over here spitting. We gonna walk into the NBA offices on Park Avenue and say, "Well, you only make $500,000, so I'm gonna $25,000, and you make $25 million, so I'm gonna charge you $2.5 million."
Right. So
I'm
here's the way
never
that I
doing
would
that,
do
dude.
it, right? And the way that you would do it is if you said, and it could be a flat thing, and I'm just throwing a number out, but if you said this penalty would cost you 10% of your monthly salary, this penalty would cost you 30% of your monthly salary, this penalty is equal to 2% of your monthly salary. Now, whatever your monthly salary is 2%. That's the fine. That's the fine. And I think that way it now becomes
Who would
relative to.
if you represented somebody, you a union rep.
Hmm.
Would you sign off for that? Like if you were bargaining or negotiating
Well, of
a
course I
collective
wouldn't, because
bargaining
it wouldn't be
agreement?
in the best interest of my client. I'm gonna fight for my client. But
That's
the
that
NFL,
is it's
should be,
not a
I
fair.
think anyway, should be fighting for its brand, or what it says its brand is, which is that it's a beacon of morality. Right? That's what I think
You
that
just
they
don't
say.
agree with the punishment. Like dude got punished a couple $1,000,000. That's what he lost, and that's not enough for you. See, at the end of the day, he got punished a couple $1,000,000, but you think he should be a the league.
I
He
mean,
got punished a couple $1,000,000. How much more money you want? He lost a couple million for not playing.
right? But I don't.
That's not enough.
But so I don't know. I don't know. You, for me,
I don't know the number. I know it's a
take
couple million.
take every battered woman. Take every battered woman who's seen that video, right? Girl who was a Ray Rice fan who saw that video. I can't measure the damage that it might have done to them. I can't. I can't. And
Well,
so my
so then
question,
how you can't? And that's fine if you can't.
right?
And how are you trying to come up with a punishment? You can't
Well, because what
measure
I'm
it.
saying is, I wouldn't want to see him touchdowns on television. I wouldn't want to see that. And if I were the owner of the NFL, right, I would in front of my audience. I would show more respect for the women who watch the game,
Hey, okay.
right, than to do something like that.
All right. It's not where I would be. I think he got punished, and I think that his career is over. So I mean he's. But if Adrian Peterson, who got charged with beating his child, he's back in the league because he's still an elite athlete, elite running back. But
Right. And I have challenges with that as well. I know we don't have enough time to discuss that on the show. But I think that when you take a defenseless child, and it wasn't, he abused him. It wasn't abuse. It was abuse.
Okay, again, you're right. We don't have enough time, and that's
Yeah.
a different topic. But I've been hit with a switch and had some welts, and so and I'm not condoning it. I don't have kids, and I'm never beat a kid, but
Okay.
it's it's another topic for another day. I'd like to thank you for joining us today, though.
Hey,
I
brother,
know that
thank
you
you
have
so much, man.
stuff going on.
I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.
Make sure you shout out your show again, and you guys can definitely, if I interest you at all, you guys can check me out because I'm sure it's gonna be heated. Can't wait to get at your partner.
Yeah,
I was
Real
hoping
Talk
he was on the
Radio.
show today.
It's blogtalkradio.com/Eric and Osmond tomorrow and every Wednesday from 7 to 8. Hope you all tune in.
What about
Thanks
the
again,
Thursday
Ron.
show?
Oh, Thursday show School Matters. And that's blogtalkradio.com/School Matters.
Nice.
7 to 8.
All right, thanks for joining us. Have a great and all you
Thank
guys
you.
for tuning in. I appreciate you. A little late, but technology. He just, you know what I mean? You hear him just hang up. You heard the Skype hang up? He just hangs up. I call him a pros pro. He's an amateur. All right. See you guys next Tuesday. We're back all summer. No more vacations. Boss, aka 660. Mo, I'm sorry for taking 2 weeks off, but I don't get off on Sundays. These 2 weeks off. We're here all summer. Check us out every Tuesday. And if you can tune in, because I'm going all the way. When I say all the way in, all the way in.
How deep?
All the way in. And then you can check us out on Sunday as well. Thank you again. And we are out.